Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Collector's Haven. I'm Mike Pingel. I am your host, and today, yes, we are diving deep into G.I. Joe. Do, 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 do. I don't know the theme song, so I'm not going to even sing it. Today we have Adam. I know, I don't. I'm sorry, Adam. I don't. Adam's in the room. I was going to pronounce your last name, but I can't. What is your last name, Adam?
Ingano, just like it looks. Ingano.
Inga, oh. Something like that. Am I right? I don't know, Adam. I love men and women and everybody with weird last names because they drive me crazy. Because everybody knows I can't pronounce last names, so I really don't do it anyway. But Adam, thank you for being in the room. Adam collects action figures and anything 80s and of course, a highlight of G.I. Joe, Star Wars, wrestling, and Transformers. And of course, we can look in the back there. We have all the new retro Ghostbusters. Yes, we're going to talk about those. Those are awesome because I've seen them on the computer. I don't think I've seen them in stores. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here, Mike.
I might edit all of that out that I just said because I don't think I've had enough coffee. It's 8 a.m., folks, so I don't think I have an excuse for that, but that's the reason why. Adam's from the East Coast, so he's up. It's 11 o'clock. He's already done his run, and he's always had like 5 cups of coffee, and he's already found 14 different collectibles today on eBay. So sorry, guys, you're out of them if you collect G.I. Joe. Adam, how did you start being a collector?
You know, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one because when I was a kid, I mean, my dad collected baseball cards. He still collects baseball cards. I was always into history as a kid. I used to go to a museum that he worked at when I was little, and I saw all these great displays of all this cool stuff. And I mean, I guess according to my parents, even when I was little with my action figures that I would play with, I liked to have them on a shelf displayed. I don't know. I think it goes all the way back to that, but definitely with a lot of this stuff that's behind me in this picture, a lot of it's about nostalgia, and it really brings you back. There's some great memories, some cool stuff, some great conversations. It's a great community out there. I don't know. It's kind of my happy place when I don't have to do my professional job.
Excellent. Now, so do you collect on things that you had as a kid, or do you feel that now you're expanding to other areas of your interests?
Short answer, yes. Longer answer, absolutely. I mean, I really the focus of what I collect, and what if I could only pick out one item, it would be individual G.I. Joe figures from the 80s. I'm one of those people that's, looking for, I don't want to say looking for the scrap, but I'm looking for just the figure. I don't care if he's got a backpack, or if it's the second version of the backpack, or the third one with the buckle on the side versus the middle. I don't care. I want the figure. And a lot of the ones behind me are ones from when I was a kid. A lot of them are ones I've acquired actually just in the last couple years. But then I see some of these newer things, like those G.I. Joe classified figures. And I look at those and I say, wow, those are really cool. And I go crazy trying to actually get the ones of those that I like, especially when they're Target exclusives. Stuff like that. I mean, the other day, I picked up Prince Adam. So it's the new Masters of the Universe line. It was such a good deal. I couldn't pass it up. My name's Adam. His name's Adam. We're practically twins.
Oh my God. And look at all those muscles on. Well, he has a little bit more hair than you do. I'm so sorry.
Yes,
and I can only say that because you have less hair than I do. So I don't know what to say. All those retro ones are really great from Target, from the He-Man. But, they're also very hard to find, because once they're on the shelf, people are running and getting them and grabbing them and reselling them. How do you like to find your collectibles? Is it eBay, yard sales, go into all the stores? What do you do to find the special ones for your collection?
I like the thrill of the hunt. And I know so many collectors will say that. I love going out and looking for these things, going to the stores. I love it really when I end up at yard sales or flea markets or whatever. That's always cool. You know, I've got, you know, my friend Bill, who's really into collectibles as well. He and I remember, you know, before we had real professional commitments, we would get up early, and in the course of a day, we might go to 7 Targets, you know, 6 Walmarts and 3 Toys R Us, and look and check. And by the way, 90% of the time we came home with empty coffee cups. That was about it. But I hate playing the pre-order game. I don't like to go on and, okay, well, I'm going to pre-order this and it's going to be delivered to my door. That's no fun. When you were little, what was fun was when you walked into the store and you walked over and you went, oh, wow, they have it. And, you know, there was that adventure to it, that excitement to it. And it's funny, that just reminds me, just, you know, jog my memory here. I remember when I was a kid, and the G.I. Joe Battle Android Trooper, the Cobra Bats, there's none of them behind me. I remember when that first came out brand new, I must have been, I'm guessing 8 or 9 years old maybe. And I was at KB Toys, which actually when I was in college, I worked for KB Toys, which made sense. But I remember taking the figure off the shelf and being so excited that I found it. I ran and showed my dad. The problem is my father was in the store next to KB Toys, Walden Books. And I remember walking over to my dad and going, Dad, look. And he looks at it. And I still remember the look on his face. I remember him looking down going, and he just starts moving me back to the store. And we walk in and we look at the high school kid working and he goes, it's okay. I don't think the kid realized I should have just kept running. I would have had another bat.
You should have kept going. Oh, I don't think I've actually talked to a toy collector who has a record yet. So I'm sure there's one coming. I'm sure there's one coming. Not like I've ever stolen anything. No, guys. No, never, ever. That's a great story. Did you buy it?
I don't remember if we bought it that day, but I did have one as a kid, without a doubt.
Why would you not buy it that day?
Well, I mean, I was probably trying to hit my dad up for the $5 to buy it. So I don't know if that would have been, I mean, it depends when it came out. I mean, I remember I was always easy to shop for as a kid. I can remember, you know, Christmas morning sometimes where what would be under the tree, but individual G.I. Joe figures. It was easy for me. That was, get me that and I'm thrilled.
I love it. I asked for mine, but my parents never got me the Charlie's Angels dolls. I don't know why. Boys don't collect Charlie's Angels dolls, so I collected the puzzles and everything else. So I'm going to fly back a little bit. You talked about the figures. Now, it sounds like you're a collector that just wants the figure. It doesn't matter if it has all the accessories. Mm-hmm. So you're not really that anal into the accessories, or do you get them later, or are you just like, you just want each figure?
I want the figure. And I mean, it's funny, like the other day, I picked up a Sonic Fighters Tunnel Rat. And I thought he was really cool looking. I loved his color scheme. I'd seen him for sale on Instagram, on eBay, and I'd looked at it and said, wow, he's really cool. I'd like him. I saw him at a local shop, and it was a great price. But he also had his giant Sonic Fighters backpack with him. So, I mean, I went back and forth, and I ended up buying it. That does not fit in there. Doesn't happen. I don't care, because this is what I want. I like my little setup, and that's where it's at for me.
I love it. I love it. So is that a G.I. Joe? I'm sorry, I don't know the character.
Yes.
Okay.
It is a G.I. Joe.
Sorry, I should have done my G.I. Joe research. I'm sorry. I only know the movies. I only know the movies, which I'm sure you don't like the movies. Do you like the movies that came out?
No, I don't like the movies. When you say the movie to me, I'm thinking of the animated one that had Don Johnson and as the voice of Lieutenant Falcon and Cobra La, and probably the most epic beginning of any G.I. Joe animated piece ever, with the parachuting down on the Statue of Liberty, and the, you know, it didn't. In fact, I just watched that. I think somebody posted that, just the intro, on July 4th.
Okay.
So I mean, it was the 80s. You know, I'm product of that time period. I remember trying to explain to even students or coworkers now that could have been students of mine that, like, I'm from the Cold War. The Soviets were the bad guys. We were the good guys. You know, yo, Joe, baby, we got them. I mean,
yeah, exactly. I know what you mean. I used to live in Germany during all that time, and Checkpoint Charlie and all that stuff.
Yep.
But I was actually talking about the live action ones.
Oh, I know you were, but I chose to ignore that.
Aren't they they are making a new movie, aren't they? I thought I heard rumors about that.
There's a Snake Eyes Origins movie that's coming out.
Oh, that's right. I saw the big, huge posters.
And I think they are working on something else. It's one of those series that if somebody gets it right, they're gonna make money. It's gonna be there, because even when you look at the little kind of dribs and drabs that happened along the way when they did what was it, G.I. Joe Renegades, that modern animated series, that was really cool. It was almost like G.I. Joe meets the A-Team. And it was, I remember my oldest son, who's 12 now, he was really into it, and he got it. And I tried to show him the old cartoons, and I don't know if that really caught on as well as you'd think, but I can still work on them.
There's still time. There's still time. What was your first collectible you had? Or I guess, yeah, collectible, because your first toys you probably don't have as a kid. But what was your first collectible that made you get into the collecting frenzy again?
Well, once again, and you know, I apologize for the fact that I'm long-winded, but I do actually have what I consider to be my first action figure ever.
What? Do you have it there?
I do. And it's going to be quite a story. Now, by the way, I talked to my mother about this last night, and she disputes this story a tiny bit.
And right now we're bringing in your mother. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
What's this, Jerry Springer?
Yes, for toys.
This is Tatooine Luke Skywalker, with where you had the lightsaber in the arm. He is in terrible condition. I have made no efforts to restore him. I actually restored a Storm Shadow figure a couple months ago that came out great. But this guy, when I would have been, my guess is somewhere in the ballpark of 3 or 4 years old.
Wow.
I was out for a walk with my mother after a massive rainstorm. And that's kind of funny because it's pouring rain here now. We're getting the remnants of a hurricane. And I found this guy in the gutter on the side of the road. And I picked him up, and my mother said, "What do you do?" No. I said, "Oh, no, look it." And I hung on to him, and I still got him. Now, my mother claims it was a Darth Vader figure that my grandfather Jake bought me at the local Kmart. I was a strange child. I have several Darth Vaders that are headless. Apparently, I bit the heads off Darth Vaders. I don't know. I don't know if you're qualified to counsel me on this or not. But
no. We could go into that, but I would have to charge you for some therapy, for toy therapy. But it's okay.
But I consider this guy my first one, and that's why he doesn't fit, despite the fact that I'm a original Star Wars fan.
Yes.
That's why he's kind of on this shelf, because he kind of gets that place of honor because he might be the first one.
No, I think he is. I think your mother might be wrong.
Well, you know what? The other part to that story, though, is even if she's right, mm-hmm. that was the first one that I'm going to go out and say I found in the wild.
Literally found in the wild.
Yeah, I did.
Literally.
Now, of course, you're going to interview somebody in a couple weeks who's going to say, I had this Luke Skywalker figure when I was a kid and I lost it. It washed away in a big rainstorm. I'd love to know what happened to it.
I won't tell him, but I will tell him. That it probably will happen. Collectors all have stories out there, and some are quite amazing. Joe, who was a Smurfs collector, was on the show, one of my first shows, and he talked about buying a huge collection, and in the collection was his aunt had passed away, and they had played with them, and in the huge collection he bought was one of her Smurfs, because they had written their names on them, which was an amazing story. But if you haven't seen it, check that episode out. But that's collecting. That's like me. I needed one last card for my Charlie's Angels 4th season. I found it on the street. And I still have it. It was all bent, and it was like,
yep,
that's the one I've been looking for.
Yep.
Sabrina on the phone, everybody. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I love that story. And I love that you still have it. So show us all the Star Wars you have there. Where are the rest of them? I thought that was one of the biggest things you collect.
Well, it's funny. From where I'm sitting in my office right now, in the bottom of my closet, I see a small Tupperware box. Those are all my original Star Wars when I was a kid. And it's funny, in thinking about this, I actually have decided that I'm going to put them out right there later on at some point this summer. But when I really got back into collecting and actually collecting action figures and worrying about the corners of the card and is the blister squished and does he come with that gun or that, when I actually did that at one point, it was with that Power of the Force reissue that started in the 90s.
Yep.
So there are a couple dozen giant plastic tubs in my basement, well packed, and there are probably, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's 1,200 carded Star Wars figures down there. Yep. I had to make a decision. In 2001, I bought a house. And I had to make a decision. Was I going to sell my Star Wars stuff? Or was I going to sell all these old vehicles and bases, all these G.I. Joe things from when I was a kid? Should I sell those or the Star Wars figures? I said, Star Wars, that'll never let me down. I'm going to sell the Joe vehicles.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's funny, the shop that I sold them to, occasionally they'll have these beautiful pieces in the display case, and I'll look at them and think, that's probably mine. But is what it is. Life's about choices.
And I've had many people tell me those stories, and they've had to go back and pay a lot more for their stuff that they sold off to people.
Yep.
And that's including celebrities who've done it in the past. So what is your most prized collection in all of your collection?
That's tough. And I know I'm saying that for every single question, but I mean, my individual Joes are without a doubt my favorite pieces. Mm-hmm. I've got some things that are rare, some things that are hard to come by, but then I've also got some stuff that just makes me laugh, that I enjoy. I picked up an Eco Warriors Deep Six figure. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with, there's a book out there, The Ultimate Guide to G.I. Joes. And it's every single page is the individual figure, the accessories, and then a write-up about the figure. So I flipped through that, and there were figures that I didn't even know existed. And as I was looking through it, I saw this guy that looked like he had a water jug on his head. This guy. Deep Six. It's another version of Deep Six. And I said, I gotta have that guy. I gotta have that guy. It looks like he has a water jug on his head. And it just made me giggle. I thought it was cool. And then I started looking into getting it. Well, doesn't it figure? He's actually, do you get it? Doesn't it figure? He's actually kind of tough to come by.
Of course.
And then dumb luck, I had the opportunity to pick one up, fairly cheap, no accessories, and I got him. And I just think he screams 90s with his, fluorescent pink accents and green vest and crazy Poland Springs water jug head and stuff. I mean, it's cool.
It's cool. So how much does one of those run somebody?
The kind that I bought, or if we wanted to do it right with accessories and all this.
Let's do it right with accessories, the whole kit and caboodle.
You're looking at over 100 easily, just for that.
So how much? Go ahead.
Well, no, he came with a dolphin, and depending upon which color dolphin it was, that's going to drive the price up. And I think I paid $15 for him.
So how much? What is the scale of the cost of a GI Joe loose and in the box or classic? How much do they usually run?
You can pick up incomplete original, I'm going to call them common figures. You can get them for $5 to $10 easily. You can pay for a loose, incomplete but sought after figure. You can pay upwards of $50 for it, $60. There are some that are in the hundreds because they are, rare, etc. Then when you get into brand new mint on card, you can get them for, I've seen them as low as $30, and I've seen carded figures upwards of $800, $900.
Wow.
None of those are around here, as you can see.
I don't know why. I understand. I'm like, I had to pay around people. I can't buy that. So is that the one with the waterhead? Is that the weirdest collectible you have in your collection, or is there a weirder one?
Well, remember I said I'm a history guy too. I was involved in museums. I work in education for history and social science still. I have family members who are into that, but for instance, I have an uncle who is essentially an antique dealer, and he would occasionally give me odd things that he thought I would think were cool. I forgot about this until right before we went live. Do you know that guy's name?
That's the Mad Magazine person.
That is the Mad Magazine person. Very good. But this is before he was the Mad Magazine person. This is, if you read about the origins of Alfred E. Newman, he was an advertising piece all the way back even in the late 1800s. That is out of a newspaper that was, I guess, trashed, and he cut out the Alfred E. Newman piece. That wasn't his name then. And he matted it and framed it for me and gave it to me for my birthday, maybe, honestly, 15, 20 years ago. But I think he dated it as somewhere in the late 1800s, maybe early 1900s, one of the early appearances of the character we would know as Alfred E. Newman.
Wow.
So that was just hanging up there. And right before we went on, I saw it and I went, that's something pretty weird. That's not something everybody has.
It's even weirder when people go, is that your long lost cousin? And you're like, yes.
No, I still look more like Prince Adam.
You do look like a prince. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's true. What was the hardest item for you to find in your collection, or something you're still searching for, or something you took forever to find, or you had to, I don't know, swap one of your children out for?
That figure, that Deep Six figure I showed you, that took me a little bit to find. But honestly, I've been lucky that I don't feel like there's been anything that has been just overly difficult for me to find. These new G.I. Joe classifieds, these Cobra Island Target exclusives, I have not seen those. I haven't touched those. I haven't been in the ballpark online on the pre-orders. But at the same time, that's great that they're new. But honestly, if you came up to me and said, hey, here's a Cobra Island Viper, or here's 3 incomplete G.I. Joe figures from 1986. Which one would you like? I'd say, oh, I'll take the 86 figures. Thank you. Like, I've got this big bin next to me of just parts from Joe figures that either I've picked up along the way that have been broken, and maybe I bought 2 broken figures and put them together to make a complete one, or pieces of my own broken figures. So I like that. I can rebuild them. I can end up with something that looks mint. I mentioned that Storm Shadow earlier. I bought a really yellowed Storm Shadow from a great dealer on Instagram. And he was yellowed. I read online. I went on YouTube, and I found out a way to get rid of the yellowing. I said, well, let's give it a shot, you know? And it worked, and he's white. It's crazy.
It is crazy. That's
Science is awesome.
Science is awesome. So where do you like most? I don't know if I asked this question. I might have. You mentioned Instagram. I've not purchased anything on Instagram. What is the best place for you to purchase? Is it Instagram or eBay? Or, I mean, do you find one? I know that you like the hunt, but is there a better one than other? Have you had a bad experience with one? Tell me your story.
I've had great luck on Instagram. It's kind of how I ended up on Instagram, because I saw that there were a lot of these dealers that they would put stuff up, they would do these claim sales. I had an eBay store at one point. I used to set up at like comic shows.
Wow.
I did that. It was good. Honestly, I felt like it was my part-time job. I really enjoyed it. And I used to do eBay all the time. And then seeing this stuff on Instagram, and I've had nothing but positive experiences. I mean, there is one dealer on Instagram that I just can't say enough good things about. We had a transaction that the package never made it to me. It got tracked to my front door. I talked to the postman that always works this neighborhood. He was on vacation when it was delivered. He went back and he talked to his supervisor. He's kind of a cagey guy nearing retirement. And he talked and he said, you know, Adam, I said, where did it go? And they said, oh, it looks like it was delivered a couple streets away. Bottom line is, I never got it. So that certainly was not an issue with me. It was not an issue with the guy that I purchased it from, with Donnie. And next thing you know, one of my friends reaches out to Donnie. They talk. I get a package out of the blue, with a bunch of figures in it from Donnie saying, hey, I hope this makes up for what happened. And I went, it's a community. I said that at the beginning. The Joe community on Instagram is amazing. I saw a guy on there who was going to Joe Fest a couple weeks ago. And he made a post and said, hey, if there's any of you that can't make it to Joe Fest, if there's something you're looking for, message me what it is and how much you want to spend. And I promise I'm not going to price gouge you. I'll find it for you, and I got to charge you shipping, but I'll do it for you. And the guy did it. And all these people are posting saying, oh, he went and he found this figure for me. And that's just great. I love that community versus back to those G.I. Joe exclusives at Target, the scalper community that gets them and puts them on eBay and says, okay, this is $5,000. What? No, it's not.
Let's go back. What is the Joe Fest? Where is the Joe Fest? And how long is the Joe Fest? And tell me about the Joe Fest.
Joe Fest, I have never been. I think next year I might go. But it's essentially a comic and collectible show that is G.I. Joe themed. It seems to be in various areas in the Georgia. If we were talking old territory wrestling days, we'd be talking like, you know, Mid-Atlantic or Georgia Championship Wrestling, right in that region. And it just looks so cool. And I gotta go. It's going to be worth it. I mean, there's some great cons up here, probably not as great as the ones you get out there, but we got some great ones here.
I mean, we would get, you know, Comic-Con, but I mean, that's, it's, I think Comic-Con's turned into more, well, it had been turned into more of a, all the studios promoting all their crap and, a lot less than a collectible. I mean, they have smaller rooms for the collectibles. I've only been a couple times because it always sells out, and it's a nightmare, to be quite honest. I mean, it's fun if you want, 5,000 people in front of you trying to get a free T-shirt from some stupid movie, but other than that, and then there's always that one con collectible that you want, and you have to wait in line. You never get it. You don't get the passing. It's all just. I think it's just too crazy. It's just crazy.
Well,
they never do that Charlie's Angels exclusive for me, so I never go.
I managed to pick up some of those Comic-Con exclusive, the Joe figures. Mm-hmm. They did a Pimp Daddy Destro. They did a Cobra Commander like he was running for president. They also did a Rowdy Roddy Piper as a member of Destro's Iron Grenadiers. I never got my hands on that before the price went way up.
Through the roof.
Yep.
Through the roof. All right, we've been talking a lot. Let's see some of those collectibles behind you. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Let's see some toys.
Move around a little bit here. I don't know what that was, but
you're fine.
Some of this I actually put together specifically for knowing that we were going to have this great conversation. So I've got this great little bottom shelf. Most of these Transformers are on loan from my son. But when I have to return them to him after this, I will probably be replacing that with some loose vintage Star Wars figures. You got a lot of the He-Man stuff, which I think is pretty cool. Now, this wrestling shelf, and that's a caricature of me in the background, if you see Chef Adam back there. But this shelf, so many of those figures, I would say about half of them, I picked up for $1 a piece at a flea market. And that was and they were ones that are tough to get. People have made offers and said, oh, I'd really love that Doink or that Yokozuna. No, I paid $1. They're great. Back there in the back, you see the green carded Ludwig Borga. Borga feuded with Tatanka for a while, feuded with the Lex Luger when he was doing the All-American piece. It sounds like in real life, Borga was not an awesome human being, but he's from Finland, and he represented the Finns, and he had the Finnish flag on his tights. And in my heritage, I've got Italian, Irish, and Finnish. So even though he was a bad guy, it was like, whoa, there's a guy that represents my background. That's kind of cool. I picked him up on eBay. Honest to goodness, I think 30 or 35 bucks. If you were to go on there now and try to get a carded Ludwig Borga, you're not going to pay anywhere near that. You're going to pay some sort of multiple of that. Oh, hey now. Hi there. Almost dropped the laptop.
Oh, okay, good.
This shelf, I've got my G.I. Joe classifieds. I'm still figuring out how to display them. They're not going to stay in the box. I'm not married to keeping them in the box, but they display cool with that art on the side. I really like it. I've got some G.I. Joe Creo up here, the little Lego style figures. I really like those. I wish they would do more with those, but I've got more of those to display, but I'm still kind of figuring out how to do that. Got those great combat heroes, the little short ones. On this top shelf, though, which is kind of crazy, see that Shark 9000 vehicle?
Totally.
That particular vehicle, and this is what's kind of cool about being the collectible guy. I had a woman come to me who I worked with in a previous job and say, I found this in my attic. I think I bought it for my nephew and I never gave it to him. Do you want it? And I said, yeah, of course I do. And I started reaching for my wallet. And she went, "Oh, Adam, I probably paid $10 for it 10 years ago. I don't care."
Wow.
Okay. I wasn't planning on showing this shelf, but I'm going to go over here because the Cobra Terradome is up there, the Creo version, which, once again, figuring out how to best display that. But see that lightsaber? See the lightsaber?
Yep, I sure do.
At one point, I was a soccer coach. And my players, knowing how much I loved Star Wars and collectibles, at the end of our season, they got me that lightsaber. That was probably 2003, 2004. So once again, do I have a bunch of those? No. Would I have ever bought it for myself? No. But it's such a cool story that they took the time and they knew me, and that's what they did. Now, this is really the good stuff here as far as I'm concerned. Look at the glare. That's awful. It's like, I wonder if it's off my head. There is that great Storm Shadow that came out just so wonderfully that I restored. Did a hydrogen peroxide water mix, let it out in the sun. That did some great stuff to it. This Cobra Commander I bought at a local comic show, and his gold just absolutely, just such clear paint. I have my original from when I was a kid. I don't think he has any gold left on him. But all of these guys I've acquired probably since about the summer of 2019, maybe the spring of 2019. A lot of these guys have been acquired since then. And there's actually a whole nother story that kind of goes with that. But I need a better lighting rig in here. But we got all of these guys. And then what's really kind of cool is right over here, we got two Adam signed Larry Hama. Larry Hama, of course, the brains behind G.I. Joe. The figure I mentioned earlier, Tunnel Rat, he designed Tunnel Rat to be essentially him as a G.I. Joe figure. And that was so cool. And there he is, Larry Hama, with myself and my oldest son. That was so cool. And the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, signed that. We got a lot of glare from the ceiling fan, but we got Hulk Hogan. And then all the way at the top, we've got Harry Anderson. And I know there's probably a lot of people that are going to see this and go, I don't know who Harry Anderson is.
Oh, I do.
I'm sure you do, but I think a lot of other people might not. I have that because that's also Judge Harold T. Stone.
That's right. That's how I know him. We didn't look at the Ghostbusters.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the nerve of me.
I know.
So these are the retro Ghostbusters. They re-released these. We're also getting a close-up of, this is one of those Transformers Red, R-E-D, robot enhanced design. They don't transform. They're more like the cartoon characters. So we've got Ray. We've got Egon. We're going to come back to Egon. Got a really good look at Ludwig Borga there. And then you can see we've got Winston. And then we've got Venkman all the way at the top. But they did such a good job on these re-releases. And I'm kind of working without a net here, so I hope, I can't see what I'm doing, but I hope it works. This is a vintage one I picked up for 50 cents. And they did a great job of using, I thought they used the same sculpt. I've been told that they updated it a little bit, but I can't tell. I remember I had my originals of these from when I was a kid, and one of my friends is a massive, massive Ghostbusters fan, and I gave them to him along the way, and he displays them proudly, which is really cool.
No,
I don't want to say, you know, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here. Like I don't. It's not like, oh man, I wish I hung on to those. I'm just so glad they bring him so much joy. That's great.
Sometimes you have to give something to somebody who's going to love it, not as much, but a little bit more than you would, and
Yep.
it's a nice thing. So, what is the most expensive thing in your collection? Do you know?
Expensive as far as
Value
my,
or something that
okay,
on the shelf,
that
or you
that
paid
is
for?
that's a really tough one. I mean, that Ludwig Borga figure, that could be up there, but I know some of my carded Star Wars figures, even though the new line of Power of the Force didn't do gangbusters in value because there were just so many of them. They were like tribbles. They were just everywhere.
I know, and everybody bought them up and thinking that they were going to be worth the 77.
But there were some along the way in that set, like the Expanded Universe one,
Okay.
that had the thicker cardboard cards that opened up into a play set. They had a Dark Trooper, Mara Jade, a dark version of Luke Skywalker, I think. Maybe it was an Emperor clone. They also had a Grand Admiral Thrawn in that collection. I think those might be value-wise some of the biggest. Yeah. Oh, I'm also just realizing that I pulled a better picture of Larry Hama and Us versus that one that I had that looked like it was a sketch. How embarrassing! I have the same shirt on. But okay.
Oh, you probably have 30 of those shirts. No worries. No worries. It's A-okay. Could have done the dark blue one for us today, but it's okay. Whatever. It brings out your eyes. It brings out your
Actually, that's true. That's true.
How much do you think your full collection costs or is worth?
Well, now those are two totally different things, and that's really interesting because I was thinking about this because of how much I like the deals and I like finding them in the wild, and whether it's working. I just did my first trade ever on Instagram, and it went great. I got a cool figure out of it. He was thrilled with what he got. I was thrilled with what I got. I'd never done that before. So that part was cool.
I don't think I've ever traded either.
But I'm willing to bet everything you see behind me,
Yeah.
as crazy as this is going to sound, I bet you out of pocket cost is under $500. Honestly, the most expensive stuff behind me, I bet you are the Transformers.
Mm-hmm. And those are your
I mean,
sons.
maybe those G.I. Joe classifieds at $20 a whack, you know? As far as value, I would confidently say if we counted the figures in the basement, that obviously I didn't count them on how much a collection would cost. I don't want to think about how much I spent on those figures that are in the basement. But I'm willing to bet value-wise. I think I've got a collection that's over $5,000 in value.
Nice.
I would guess. But at the same time, I don't want to say it doesn't matter because, I mean, obviously it does. But if you came in right now and said, "Hey, I'll give you $1,000 for all that," no, it makes me happy.
Yep.
You know, just another side story that I wanted to tell that just tells you how so many people feel about collectibles and so many people's, you know, just that nostalgia piece. Before, when the pandemic totally broke down and education went remote, and you had people like me that were in meetings all day long, and we were trying to figure out how are we going to do this, how are we going to do that, and we were all together. There was one of the other curriculum people, has the same job as me for a different subject, great guy. He's a sports collectibles guy, has some amazing Tom Brady stuff, that just amazing stuff. Brian, great guy. We'd be in these meetings. In the early meetings, I hadn't set up like a home office yet. So the superintendent and the assistant superintendent would be in these meetings, and I would have these Joes behind me. And my cell phone would go off during the meetings, and I'd look, and it would be Brian saying something like, "Hey, over your right shoulder, the third row up, the guy with the red helmet. What's his name? I think I had him." And it just somehow, in the midst of all that insanity, then he and I are on the phone after, and he's telling me about playing with G.I. Joes in his yard when he was a kid. And it's great stuff. I don't know anybody that this can't bring a smile to their face.
So true. So true. Well, Adam, it's been amazing chatting with you. You have an amazing collection.
Thank you.
Where can people reach out to you if they have something you need, if you want one of those Target exclusive you can't get your hands on or anything like that? Where can they reach out to you?
I am on Instagram, and it's very easy, at Adam Ingano, ADAMINGANO.
That's fantastic.
You know, there is one thing I'm kind of hunting a little bit right now.
Ooh, what is it? Tell us.
1993 G.I. Joe release of Cross Country. And I'm hunting him as much for his G.I. Joe value to me as his pop culture value for the story that it tells us about America then and America now. Because that figure would never be produced nowadays.
Excellent.
Because if you turn that figure around, he has a massive Confederate flag on his back.
Oh.
And it's like, that was a children's toy in 1993. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think it's only going to become more expensive to obtain. I probably shouldn't have even told that story because the price just went up.
Every time I talk about the Charlie's Angels walkie-talkies, the price goes up. Swear to God. Swear. They're $2,500. Now they're even $3,500.
Oh,
Never gonna get one. Never gonna get one. Never gonna get one.
don't say that. Somehow it happens.
Oh, to your mouth, to the collector's ear, are the one who is holding it and going, "You can never have this, Mike." Adam, it has been a pleasure speaking to you about your collection. It's amazing. I love it. I'm sure your son is waiting at the door, waiting for his Transformers back. It's like, Dad has those Transformers and I need them back. He's going to sell them for some stupid G.I. Joe. Talking about your kids, how much do your kids love helping you find items or go out with the hunt? How does that work with you?
Absolutely. My oldest is 12. My youngest is 6. And they have gone out of their way to pick out collectibles for me along the way, whether it was some of the modern He-Man stuff or even when I can remember going to a comic show with my oldest name is Noah. And Noah and I went to the comic show and, you know, he's sitting there looking at the Joes with me on this guy's beautiful display. And he's going, Dad, you don't have this one. You probably need that one. It's like, shh, 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 shh. Don't say that in front of him. No, I was going to talk him down.
There's no numbers on them yet.
But no, they love it, and I mean they were excited in making suggestions. I mean, you see Skylynx up here, the Transformer. Skylynx wasn't originally going to be included in this until Noah said, "Well, Skylynx would look great there, but I'm going to put Bumblebee in an action pose for you." And you know, just one and like I said, I'm sorry, I'm a storyteller at heart. I always have been. But some of these figures, like that vintage Transformer, this vintage He-Man and Battle Cat, those belong to one of the guys I work with. And we have a little shelf in our office at work. That's where those live in real life. I brought them home to have them on the shelf for the conversation with you. But we have a shelf of toys at our job. It doesn't get much cooler than that as far as I'm concerned.
And your kids at least have something to buy. You don't have to get a tie for Father's Day.
That's right.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. Adam, thank you again so much for being on the show. And everybody out there, thank you for watching. Please like us, put a comment below, share us with all your friends. And if you have a collection that you would like to share, I would love to have you on the show. Please DM me, send me an email, reach out to me. I love to chat because I love collectors because I'm a collector too. Adam, I hope you have a great day and a great weekend. Are you going to go out and hunt today or are you going to go work? What are you doing today?
I'm probably going to drink some more coffee and...
Me too.
I might go out. I don't know. It sounds like it's raining pretty hard out there and I'm sitting here surrounded by action figures. I'm probably pretty good on the day right now.
A G.I. Joe would go out with his battle gear.
That's true. There'd probably be some sort of special rain gear that I could have. Yeah.
because the other collectors are like, I'm gonna stay home, it's raining. You're like gonna go get them all. Go get all those Target exclusives. Adam, thank you so much and have a good day.
You too. Thank you so much, Mike.